Well, it's January 2023 and it's winter. I live in Michigan and I actually like the winter months. And there's nothing whole 100% that I like about every season. Of course, I don't like the sleet and the rain, almost icy type thing, but I love snow. I think it's beautiful. I love the way it covers all the kind of yucky stuff that's still going on in the under the ground. I don't mind driving in it as long as it's not a driving snow. But I know there are some people that struggle with winter. Today, we're going to talk about how you can winterize your body to stay healthy. I'm Mary Bourne. I'm a traditional naturopath. I love sharing natural remedies with people. Natural remedies have been around for centuries, even thousands of years, and they work. They have been passed down through the ages because they work. Nothing is going to be passed down and considered tradition unless there's some value in it. So today I want to talk about some of the seasons, some of the things that we are doing during that season or that we should do during that season. I'm also going to talk about some foods that would be beneficial and some activities that should or should not be done during those seasons. I hope that you follow along with this journey. I know that it's a bit long. My herbal hours are only once a month and they do last about an hour. And you can do it in segments if you want to, break it off at 15 minutes and then come back to it later. It is a chunk of information, and sometimes people are up for that amount of information, and some of them have to digest it a little bit, and that's okay. I also want to encourage you to watch this with others. Share these videos because they're really important messages. They're not messages that you're going to hear on mainstream media. You're not going to hear it from your medical doctor because much of this information is traditional information, and most medical doctors now are trained in pharmacology and surgery, and they are really trained and focused on keeping you alive, but that doesn't mean keeping you healthy. So let's dive in and see what we have today. There we go. So traditional wisdom and cycles of nature. Excuse me. Let's see if I can get rid of me. There you go. So traditional wisdom and cycles of nature. These are basically representing the 4 seasons that we know of in nature. And some of you, I'm sorry, thought I got rid of me. Oh dear, there we go. So in these seasons of nature, we're talking about different health things. So year-round, people are prone to different health problems. Indoor heating and cooling make these changes less severe, but they offer other problems that we're going to be talking about. And during the winter, we should winterize our body. Most of us change the oil in our car for a heavier weight oil for the winter time. Some people in the very, very cold have to actually plug in their cars if they want them to start the next day. And we winterize our homes. Some people actually put up plastic to keep the air from coming in the window. Maybe you'll put a padded snake-like thing at the base of your door so that the air doesn't flow through. There are certain things that we do. We wear different clothes during the winter than we do in the summertime. At least we should. So diet needs to vary depending on the climate. Seasonal variations of food is also a contributing factor to health. Many people don't differentiate what they eat in the summer from what they eat in the winter, even though it's harder to get. For like tomatoes, a store-bought tomato in January does not taste like a homegrown tomato in July. So there's a reason for this. Foods have their season, and really it's more helpful if we eat what is grown in our area for that season. It really does help us cope better with the season. So let's look at the hot equator climates. These people can eat less protein and fat and more veggies, fresh veggies and fruit, raw. Food tends to cool the body, and they eat spicier foods, that help them sweat and open up those sweat glands so that they can cool the inside. Their body needs to release some of that heat. And eating hot food, spicy food, actually will do that for you. Now, in colder climates, we tend to need to eat meat and animal fat. Now, this may go against some people's diet, but this is tradition that we're talking about. In the past, long winters didn't provide much else to eat. People had to kill the animals, and there wasn't lettuce growing under the snow. The food that was available to keep them alive was animal products and fats. And so they ate special foods that were full of fats, which is like omega oils and things that they needed to provide nutrients during the winter months. Now, summer health. Summer must dissipate heat in the summer. The body is generally should remain a certain temperature in order for it to be healthy. If it goes above that temperature, you're sometimes fighting off disease, or you may be struggling with an infection, or you just simply may be too hot and you need to cool your body somehow. So oftentimes increasing circulation on the peripheral, so in other words, sweating, helps with this dissipating of the body heat. So the skin pores open up and they release the moisture that we know as sweat. Animals will do this too. Horses, after running, they will sweat off because they built up that heat. And often, excuse me, man, let me get some water. So what happens also is our blood gets thinner. So people who live like in Michigan and we go down to Florida, it takes us a while to adapt to that warmer weather because our blood has thinned to adapt to the cooler temperatures. Now, people get more vitamin D because they're out in the sunshine, and we get more oxygen and we breathe better because we are more active. Now, the summer diet is less calories are needed in the form of fats and proteins, whereas we need more light carbohydrates like fresh fruits and vegetables, lots of salads. And these foods contain a lot of antioxidants, and they help many ways to cool the body, to give it the nutrition it needs to stay healthy. And spicy foods like ginger and things that make us like capsicum, hot pepper, are used in the warmer climates to help us sweat. So many people are resting during the heat of the day. If you look in like Mexico or South America, they have a traditional time during those very hot hours where they do a siesta, where they relax and just don't exert themselves a whole lot. Winter health. The body needs to generate and conserve heat. Circulation pulls inward to conserve this heat, which means less blood flows to the extremities. The skin pores tend to be more closed, and so they tighten up to help the body. I think it's an amazing thing that our body really is very intelligent. It really knows what's best for it. And a lot of times we try to ignore that. We try to do what we want and not think about what is best for our body. The skin is oilier to hold heat and moisture. However, there are times if you're not eating a good amount of healthy fats, even though this isn't something your body tends to do in the summertime, if you're not eating good omega oil like that which you get in salmon, your skin can tend to dry out. If you are too much of a sun worshiper, your skin can dry out. And so there are things that are not natural that come across as a winter condition. So in winter, our skin should be oilier, and we'll talk a little bit how you can help that if you're dealing with dry skin. In wintertime activities is we actually reduce our activity level. A lot of people do more reading. Excuse me, I'm going to take more water. I know I've been journaling more. I've been looking at my goals, what I want to do, what I plan to do for my garden. And so I just watch a lot of videos to learn. And so the inside activity is not much. So I have to force myself to get up, walk around, and make sure my blood is flowing properly, because less activity means blood flow will make arthritis and muscle aches worse. So if you're not getting up and walking around, like every hour, you should get up every hour. Don't sit there for hours on end. Get up, take a break, walk around. So reduced activity and holiday treats will also make these more prone to gain weight. So in January, it's a good thing. Take stock. What are we doing? How can we improve our health? And I thank you for watching today's video on tips on how you can make that happen. So let's talk about winter and respiratory problems. Air tends to be drier and colder in winter, especially indoors. Whatever heat method you use usually dries out the air. So dry air, excuse me, dry air also tends to dry out the mucous membranes. So I want to talk with you a minute about some of the things that I'm using to help combat that. Now, this is a aromatherapy diffuser that uses water. So inside this, you unscrew it, there's some water. I don't want to tip it now because it's full of water. And you put your favorite essential oils in it. And then through this little opening, steam comes out. Now, it not only helps to moisten the air that you're breathing, it's cool air, not hot air. So it's cooling the air. The essential oils you use are going to kill germs. It's the most essential oils are antimicrobial. And so it's going to be a twofold thing on how you can support better health in the winter time and your family's health. Now, the third thing is that depending on the oil you use, you can either work on supporting your lungs and your breathing. You can also improve the immune system and how your family is dealing with things. It can kill germs. So if one person comes down with something and you plug in this aromatherapy unit, you can get rid of those germs so that the rest of the family doesn't get sick. It's mobile. You can move it to your bedroom or to a sick room. You can move it to the living room or where you are for a greater part of the day. You can get rid of odors in the kitchen. So I love the diffuser that Nature Sunshine has. There's a couple of different ones, and I will link in the description below where you can get a 25% discount on your orders. So we don't want to constrict the bronchial passages, and cold air tends to do that. So make sure that when you go out in the cold, use a scarf, cover your mouth and nose while you're making your way to the car, and help your body adjust to those temperatures much more quickly. It also affects people with asthma, reactive airway disease, and COPD because they can't catch their breath. And oftentimes, breathing cold air will give you that cough reflex. So the reduced exposure to light affects people in their mood and their mind by way of the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the gland that during the day, when the sun is out, you feel vitalized, and it has a lot of, it works with serotonin. As the nighttime increases, you get sleepier because that serotonin converts to melatonin, allowing your body to kick into the sleep cycle. Now, if we have lots of lights on and the TV can affect this light conversion, and so people who sleep with TVs in their bedroom, not a good idea because it's confusing your pineal gland. Now, oftentimes people who struggle with this, it can be known as cabin fever. We have some neighbors that before they started moving to Florida in December, we would have cabin fever parties in February. Now they don't come back until late April. So we don't have cabin fever parties anymore. And it was wonderful because the whole neighborhood got together. We had soup, and he was a wonderful soup maker. So we have 3 choices of soup and some bread, and it was the camaraderie. It was wonderful because during the winter, when you feel isolated and away from people, it can be really hard on your mood and staying upbeat. Lack of exposure to sunlight contributes to depression, especially when there is a lack of vitamin D. So sometimes, if you're struggling with this, investing in a sunlight or lamp type of device where it's giving off vitamin D may be helpful. Also, taking vitamin D is helpful. So other wintertime issues, people tend to be more sedentary in the winter. They stay indoors more. Homes are tightly closed, which allows accumulation of indoor air irritants and microbes. And we've talked about a couple of solutions for that, like the taking more supplements. We're going to talk some more about some things you can do, but one of the things you can do is to take a healthy D3 and C for immunity. Now, I've also done a class on, recently on the value of taking citrus bioflavonoids. I love citrus bioflavonoids. It's one of my favorite things. I did a class recently on bruising, and one of the things that contributes to easy bruising is the lack of a complex vitamin C that has rutin and bioflavonoids in it. And that's why I take the citrus bioflavonoids. So wintertime nutrition, because the body needs to generate more heat, stay warm, it needs more calorie-dense foods. Higher fat and protein is important. And I know that kind of goes away from the USDA, but let's talk a minute about those choices the USDA defines for us. Do you remember the 4-food group? How about the pyramid? Now, our plate, dividing your plate. These aren't effective. Americans are becoming more and more obese. We are not discussing really what it takes to be healthy and during the different seasons, what food it takes to be healthy during those seasons. So we want to avoid things like salads and raw food. We want to eat nourishing, warm foods, what we might even consider comfort foods, root vegetables, dried fruits, and oatmeal, and things that can contribute to warming our body. These foods are naturally stored in the winter months. Things like rice and beans and pastas and those things. You want to take in things like bone broth. Bone broth is extremely nutritional. I have spent so far the month of January building up my stock of bone broth. We started with turkey broth that I made from the turkey when we celebrated New Year's with the family. Then I went to chicken broth. I bought 2 organic chickens from Costco and I baked those. We've already made like 5 meals from those 2 chickens. I froze a lot of the meat, but from the bones, I made 9 quarts of bone broth. Very nutritious. And why do we make bone broth? Well, for the collagen. We want that collagen to help us. So we want to winterize our body and be healthy. Focus on health during the winter. Well, really, is it wise? Shipping makes it possible to get summertime foods like tomatoes and cucumbers and tropical fruits all year long, but are they really the best thing to take? We talk about eating oranges for vitamin C. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of food that is in the wintertime that you can get vitamin C from. And of course, I mentioned my favorite is the citrus bioflavonoids that I take daily. So I don't have to worry about, am I eating oranges? Now, orange juice is one of the things that will increase blood sugar. And that's a contributing factor to obesity. So we really don't want to do that. Orange juice is too high in sugar content. And these fruits tend to be cooling in nature. Now, if you take bananas and you cut them up and you freeze dry them or dehydrate them, then you can add them to things like oatmeal and other food that help you stay warm. Higher animal fats from healthy animals like pasture raised and organic. Root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, beets, onions, parsnips, and turnips are really good food because they can be stored. Squash is wonderful to keep stored in the winter time. Dried fruits like apricots, raisins, and prunes can be added to a healthy warm dish like oat groats, cooked oat groats. Fiber fruits like apples and pears to keep, because we're not as active, we need to make sure that our eliminations is working really effectively. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough fiber and enough water during this winter time. So like I said, vitamin C supplements are really helpful. You can take it with vitamin C with bioflavonoids. I really love the one from Nature Sunshine. Vitamin A and D, I take that on a daily basis. Vitamin D3, I also take that every day with K2. So really it's important for us to be mindful of the nutrients we're taking in. So 'tis the season to get sick. We're all hearing this. Oh, cold and flu season is right here, right? You know, we gotta get our shots and all that. Well, I don't believe in shots. I believe in nutrition and keeping our bodies healthy through nutrition. Things that are more prevalent in the winter are sore throats, coughing. I've made a remedy that I gave everybody for Christmas that should be taken on a daily basis. It was on my website for a time, and it's made with ginger and elderberry and a lot of wonderful herbs that help to stimulate the immune system and actually modulate. So sometimes if you're dealing with overstimulation of the immune system through autoimmune disease, you don't want to take things like echinacea. You want to take things like astragalus, which helps to calm that overactive immune response. And respiratory problems like asthma attacks are also more common in the winter time. So in the winter, use a humidifier, or like I do, I move my aromatherapy humidifier around, killing off germs, getting rid of smells, and uplifting my mood. If you diffuse essential oils like pine and fir and eucalyptus, frankincense and myrrh, why do you think the Magi brought those very, very important essential oils to our king? It is because they wanted to keep him healthy. Now, these are well known to prevent spread of infection. Now, make sure that you're changing your furnace filter on a monthly basis. The dust builds up and all you're doing is spreading that dust around. Dust mites can really be an irritant. And bring air from outside into the house. We do that through opening the door, leaving the door just ajar for a minute or two, just to exchange some of that air that we have trapped indoors. And don't unnecessarily exert yourself. The cold weather can be brutal for some people. If you know you're dealing with lung issues and you're a mouth breather to begin with, it can dry out your mouth and make you more susceptible to infection, like the lungs and bronchioles. Make sure that you're taking a bronchial support if you deal with bronchial problems. Some of the other things that we can do are taking astragalus. Now, elderberry and astragalus are very calming and nutritive for the immune system. Astragalus can be taken by babies. It's really very, very beneficial herb. It really helps to calm the immune system and fortify it. A thing that I took a lot of last year was the Chinese lung support when I was dealing with lung issues from COVID. And it really, really helped me get rid of the um, problem with my lungs that was also creating issues for my heart. Another thing you can do is medicinal mushrooms like cordyceps and maitake and chaga. You know, you can take tea. Chaga is made with tea. Many people really love it. I love the My Immune Defense. It's a powder that you can take. It's full of 5 different types of mushrooms. I've added it to soups and stews. You don't even know it's there, but it's supporting our immune health. So I add a lot of different things to the food, especially during the winter time, that are going to boost our immune system and keep us active and healthy. I love using everyday support with the elderberry D3 fence. It has D3 in it and elderberry, other herbs that are supporting the immune system on a daily basis. Now, some of the challenges people have during the winter are skin problems. So the dry air makes the skin more dry. And one of the things you can do is dry skin brushing. So I encourage you to look that up, how you can attain the habit of doing dry skin brushing. When you do that, you don't do it in the shower because you want your skin to be dry and you're sloughing off dead skin cells when you do this. It's made with a natural bristle brush, and you brush your skin starting from the ankles up to the heart, and then from your wrist to the heart. And this really encourages the oil beneath the surface of the skin to come and lubricate the skin. Now, in the beginning, you're going to still have to use some kind of a skin cream or nutritive for the skin. But the reason you have that is twofold. Number one, you're not taking in enough good fats or fat soluble vitamins like the A and D and the omega-3 essential fatty acids. You're not sloughing off the dead cells. If you keep putting lotion on your skin and it dries out immediately, it's because the skin cells are not being sloughed off and allowing new fresh cells to take their place. You know, you have itchy skin because your body automatically wants to get rid of that dead cell texture. Now, in some areas, they do these sauna baths, and you can see that it's out in the snow. So they heat up their bodies, they get out, they actually roll in the snow and then go back in. And these quick changes of temperature actually encourage healthier skin. Now, you want to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. A lot of people, you can drink it in tea form, but water is really, really important. Eat good fats like ghee and coconut oil and lard. I know lard has gotten a bad rap, but remember, USDA hasn't really gotten it right a lot of the time. Now, bathe regularly to keep the skin pores open, taking a nice relaxing Epsom salt bath, and using maybe some essential oils in the bath is really helpful. The best way to do that is to take a cup of Epsom salt and tap in about 10 or 15 drops of like lavender or some essential oil that you like, and mix it with the Epsom salt and then put it in your bath. Otherwise, if you just put it on the bath, the water is not going to mix with the oil. So this sweat baths and saunas really have benefit. Now, the wintertime exercise, sometimes we're out there and the snow is falling, we got to clear it. We don't cover our face, and the next thing you know, we're breathing through our mouth and coughing. And that reflux happens because your nose actually is supposed to warm the air before it gets down into the bronchioles and into the lungs eventually. If you wear a scarf over your mouth and nose, there is still plenty of airflow, but it warms the air before it gets into your lungs, and there you can breathe through your nose. Don't have to work really fast. You can get the job done at a healthy pace. So working hard in the cold weather puts a strain on the heart. There's so many heart attacks in the winter months from people exerting themselves. They've been sedentary for weeks, and then all of a sudden the snow falls and they got to get out there and shovel it, and they try to get it done as quick as possible. So not a good idea. So here's some supplements that I like. I use most of these, especially for cardiovascular care. Ginkgo and hawthorn, I use that as a combination. The rose hips are in my citrus bioflavonoids. The vitamin D3 is in my elderberry defense. I take vitamin A and D. I also take CoQ10 because the heart needs oxygen, and the CoQ10 really helps that. Now, if you're taking medication like blood thinners or cholesterol medication, especially, you may be robbing your body of CoQ10 and causing other health problems. And of course, omega-3 supplements. I take 2 every single day. I think they're very, very beneficial. Now, one thing I don't like is spicy foods. I can tolerate a little bit of ginger, but I'm not like into Mexican or Thai food. It's just not my thing. And it's probably a good thing because in the wintertime, you don't really want to do a whole lot of hot pepper, but things like ginger tea can be very beneficial. And when you come in from out of the cold, you do want to, excuse me, drink some spicy food or like ginger or chai. Cinnamon and peppermint tea are also very warming. Most herbal teas will be very warming. And one of the things that I really like, see if I can get this. There we go. So one of the things that I really like is, I forget, this must be 15 years old, but it's filled with rice. I'm not sure. You can get the ones with beans, but they tend to smell if you put them in the microwave to warm it up. So basically you want to heat it in the somehow. I prefer the microwave. I don't use my microwave for heating food, but I will heat this. Now, this is wonderful. You can put it on the back of your neck and warm yourself up that way. But the favorite way I use it is I heat it up as I'm getting ready for bed. I'll grab it, move the rice around, and then stick it at the bottom of my feet. And oh my goodness, it's instant sleep. It really helps just to warm it up. In old times, they used to heat a brick on the wood stove and then take that brick and wrap it in a towel and put that at their feet or warm their bed with it. So there are tips that you can do to help make you warmer. They help us with healing with the winter months better. Now, we tend to think of, let me move this. There we go. So we tend to think of the holiday season, particularly Christmas and New Year, as a festive, happy time. Unfortunately, we eat all the wrong food, and a lot of people will tend to think of January as a time to detox. But I really think the best time to detox is in the spring, when your body is actually working with the seasons to let go of some of the toxins that you've built up in the winter time and some of the fats that you've built up because of the way you eat. You tend to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables as the spring goes on, and those are very cleansing. But if you deal with depression and seasonal affective disorder, make sure that your vitamin D levels are up, because I have seen in my 40 years of practice that when people have low vitamin D levels, they also have increased depression, winter blues, and kind of a sad disposition. So eating healthy foods help us keep alive, keep us working well, keeping us looking forward, working on our goals. These are all things that are really helpful in the January and February months. So, mood boosting remedies. We want to do some full spectrum lighting. So, if you can change out your lights to a full spectrum type of lighting, things that are like grow lights, plants tend to grow better under full spectrum lighting, and so do we. You can also get the vitamin D sunlight lamps that are better for you. Make sure that you're taking vitamin D3 supplements. And lemon balm is a wonderful herbal that you can do as a tea. You can blend it with St. John's wort. Calendula, if you're dealing with those skin problems, make sure that you're maybe adding some calendula oil to some aloe vera. This will nurture the skin. The Chinese mood elevator, I have found that to be especially beneficial for some of my clients who deal with winter blues. Also, the essential oil of pink grapefruit tends to be very uplifting. This is especially beneficial for teenagers who tend to be a little moody during the winter months. Now, there is a link in the description below for 25% discount off of any supplements that you may want to get or actually just look into. So I want to thank you for viewing for this Herbal Hour. And if you've stuck with it the whole hour, thank you so much. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, if you've gotten some benefit out of it, please give me a thumbs up. Comment. I love to hear from people. Subscribe. I really have a goal this year to double my subscribers by the end of the month, by the end of the year. And I'm hoping that you can help me do that. Share with others, because, trying to make sense of what we hear on a daily basis about health is really confusing. And you need to go within and figure out, does that make sense for me? And if it doesn't make sense for you, then find another way, another path that is going to make sense and keep your family healthy during the winter. You do not have to be sick in the winter, nor do you have to be sick during the spring or summer. Don't buy into this cold and flu season. It's only cold and flu season if you aren't doing the right things for your body. So I want to thank you again for being here and enjoying this video. And until next time, this is Dr. Mary for the Health of It.